Welcome back, viewers and subscribers. It's your girl, Star Flames, and we're back, baby, with another banging video boo because JayZ is saying to Buzbee, how is it that you're filing lawsuits for people you haven't even met? What kind of sense is that? And Buzbee, as per usual, is clapping back. Let's talk about it, shall we? Because as you guys know, since that lawsuit amendment on December 8th of 2024, JayZ has been named as co-accomplice against Sean Diddy Combs. VMA Bandit said, JayZ, you did it to me. Diddy did it to me too. However, ever since the lawsuit has been filed, unfortunately, I have to say this and I have to keep it real. Buzbee is given tired and exhausted. Really, truly, and honestly, because JayZ and Alex Spiro, they have been truly hitting him back to back. No, for those who have been paying attention knows that there are numerous inconsistencies. And we know that JayZ is not completely innocent. No. But on this case, clearly JayZ is innocent. On other things, definitely not. And the thing is that Buzbee wants to convince everyone that JayZ is guilty, but he's not putting forward anything. And I see JayZ just hammering away at Buzbee. Buzbee has now hired Donald Trump's former attorney, Mark Kasowitz, to assist him. Remember that he hired 2 new attorneys on the case? No. What legal experts are saying, it's not unusual for the victim or the accuser to do that, but it's rather extremely unusual for the lawyer to do so. But upon further checks, I could see where Buzbee is fighting the sanction with Kasowitz, and the other attorney is to represent VMA Bandit because JayZ has basically, signaled the court, hey, we have a man here who is practicing in your courtroom that he's not licensed to practice in. So Buzbee now has to put that attorney in front of him, and he has to be the second man in the back, like, okay, move forward with this, move forward with that. That is what he has to do now to protect himself. No. Yes, let's keep it real. And let's be honest, Buzbee has been filing a lot of lawsuits, and when an attorney has a lot of lawsuits, there can be, mishaps and inconsistencies because we saw that with even the great Alex Spiro, right? And Alex Spiro doesn't miss, and we saw him making a miss, right? So knowing that these things happen, it would not be something that's rather unusual. But the thing is, why this is looking so bad for Buzbee is the inconsistencies that has been highlighted. And I'm not talking about, possible memory lapse inconsistencies. No, actual inconsistencies wherein, according to him, if he did have a police investigate the matter, that police officer would have been able to spot at least one. And he said there are other legal teams that looked over the lawsuit, and I'm wondering, what kind of eyes did they use? It's really and genuinely not a good look for Buzbee. And this is an opportunity that JayZ and his legal team are using against Buzbee. And I can tell you that Buzbee is scared. He is scared, but kudos to him for not backing down, even though JayZ is innocent. Everyone on this case is so criminal. It's like a den of thieves. JayZ's criminal, Buzbee's criminal, VMA Bandit is criminal. But on this case, I have to say, and I have to reiterate, there are so many indications that JayZ is innocent of these allegations, but it doesn't dismiss the fact that, this is literally a den of thieves. But let's get into this report so as to give you guys some foundation to the new information. According to a new motion, now they're saying JayZ is increasing his call for a court to sanction Tony Buzbee. Now, if you remember, his attorney, Mark Kasowitz, said that Tony Buzbee did his research. Tony Buzbee even got a police officer to vet the information. And I understand what Mark Kasowitz is saying, but it cannot substantiate the vetting. And that's where the problem is. That's where the problem is. If you guys remember with Tyrone Blackburn did something somewhat similar. But why Tyrone Blackburn was able to escape sanctions? Because Tyrone Blackburn went ahead and filed a case in a courtroom that he shouldn't have, and he did some things that he shouldn't have. But when UMG, that is Lucian Grange attorney, argued for sanctions against him, what Blackburn did that saved his ass, Blackburn acknowledged his mistakes and he said to the court, Your Honor, I acknowledge my mistakes and I take full accountability and I genuinely admit it was a genuine error. And the judge was like, you know what? The mere fact that he's owning up to the fact that he did something wrong, we all can agree that mistakes do happen. And they basically brushed it off. Tyrone Blackburn escaped sanctions. But the thing with Buzbee is that there's nothing to back up the fact that he did investigation because, he's not saying, well, this is what the police officer discovered, and it's why he thought, because there could be a discovery that leads you down the wrong path. And he's not given, there's absolutely nothing. And it's really not looking good. It's genuinely not looking good for Buzbee, unfortunately, when it comes to this VMA Bandit case. But let's continue, right? As I was saying, JayZ's increasing his call for a court to sanction Tony Buzbee. The lawyer representing numerous people accusing Diddy of a variety of sexual misdeeds. Why JayZ's side blasting him for not even meeting with his clients before he filed the complaint, but Buzbee isn't backing down. The rapper's new legal docs in support of his motion were filed earlier this month, asking for sanctions against Buzbee, and in it, Jay's team points out that Tony now admits he never met with the Jane Doe suing him before he signed off on the complaint. But Tony Buzbee initially said he questioned the VMA Bandit himself. This is not looking good, Buzbee. It's not looking good because the record is there as proof. He said the case was sent to him by another law firm. He went through the information himself and he confirmed, he vetted. That's what he said, but no, he's going back on his words. Well, there's nothing wrong with accountability, right? Now they're saying, although Buzbee insists the case was appropriately vetted, Jay's lawyers are hammering him for never actually meeting the Jane Doe before it was filed, which Jay and his side see as a huge lapse in his ethical responsibility. As you know, Buzbee's working a ton of different clients right now, so it's not totally shocking he hadn't met this particular Jane Doe before, but he's still catching flack over it from Jay's side because they're going to use everything they can to their opportunity. Now they're saying JayZ's team wants the court to sanction Buzbee, claiming he didn't do the bare minimum to investigate his client's claims before she gave a now infamous NBC interview. Not long after the interview aired, the subject of it admitted there were certain mistakes she made while recounting her story. No, guys, this is going to be a big problem. That interview that a VMA Bandit did with NBC News, it's going to be a big problem. I've been telling you guys this since that interview, that interview is going to be a big problem. And it's not going to be a big problem because Bandit was inconsistent with their information. It's going to be a big problem because what Buzbee should have done, he should have grilled VMA Bandit before the interview. And if he had, let's say he didn't vet the lawsuit, right? Because he was busy. It was his sole obligation to grill the VMA Bandit before the interview and prepare her, basically prep her. If he had done that, he would have discovered the inconsistencies and he wouldn't have allowed her to do that interview with those inconsistencies. They would have been able, to give her a good PR grounding, like how to dodge certain questions that would give and reflect that she had her information incorrect. So that NBC interview is gonna really cement things on a really bad level for Buzbee, because what the court is gonna look at, okay, you were busy, you had numerous lawsuits working on, you have people in your office working for you, you trust these people, you signed off on the lawsuit, ain't nothing wrong with that. But at what point did you have a meeting with your client? Because this is what is being demonstrated now. What JayZ's legal team is demonstrating is that at no point in time Tony Buzbee had any sort of counsel with VMA Bandit. And that should never be the case, because if he had any counsel with VMA Bandit, he would have been able to position things differently. So it appears as though Buzbee was, shocked just as we were at the numerous inconsistencies. But he's the attorney, so he can't say to us, oh my God, I'm just learning the same time the world was discovering these inconsistencies. He has to put on that brave face and he has to give the political speech, because as an attorney, that is what he's supposed to do. That is his sole duty, responsibility, and obligation to his client. But Tony Buzbee knows that he's in trouble. He knows that he's in legal trouble. He knows that his license is at risk, and as such, and that's why he has a powerful attorney to protect him. And Mark Kazowicz is saying he did all the due diligence. But Mark Kazowicz himself, he cannot substantiate any reason for the inconsistencies. And this is where it's gonna truly hit Buzbee. At first I was saying I hope he gets sanctioned, because you could literally see that he used this lawsuit to propel his career. That's literally what Buzbee did. This VMA Bandit lawsuit had nothing to do with the VMA Bandit and everything to do with Tony Buzbee using JayZ's name to get his foot into the elite territory. But he's now learning that we're not saying that you cannot come into the elitist territory. It's just that you're going to have to pay for it. No, many people are also saying that JayZ should have settled, honey. Anyone who says JayZ should have settled out of court, they're not thinking about this from an analytical perspective. In the era of Me Too movement, you never settle a lawsuit out of court. No matter how silently you've settled that lawsuit, word gets around between attorneys. And once an attorney knows that you are settling and you're giving money, that's only you opening the floodgates of hell to come for you. And someone at a billionaire status like JayZ, there's no doubt he would have been hit with over 100 frivolous lawsuits by this. So JayZ did the most dignified thing that he can do for his career, his business image and reputation. And I do believe that when a celebrity is hit with a frivolous lawsuit, no matter how heart-wrenching and gut-wrenching it is, they need to fight back and to prove their innocence. Because take, for example, with Chris Brown, that woman lied on Chris Brown. She went ahead and she filed a lawsuit against Chris Brown, accusing Chris Brown of doing something to her he never did. She had like 2 to 3 attorneys. And when Chris Brown attorney presented the evidence, they had to check to verify that the communication between her and Chris Brown was not falsified. After the communication, like the messages were vetted and verified that they weren't, manipulated, her attorney dismissed themselves from the case, asked the judge to have them dismissed. They were dismissed from the case because they were like, what the hell did you do to us, girl? They dismissed themselves from the case. The court dismissed the case because the young lady lied. And irrespective of the fact that the young lady lied, Warner Brothers went ahead, did that documentary, and now Chris Brown is fighting another lawsuit. So I'm just saying that if Chris Brown hadn't done that initially, when Warner Brothers released that documentary, many people would believe that Chris Brown was guilty and is lying. And even after Warner Brothers released that documentary, there were people on my channel telling me that, oh, you're just defending these men. Chris Brown is guilty. It wasn't until I did the second video with the evidence and the court documents outlining Chris Brown's innocence, that is when people withdrew their statement and realized that Chris Brown was actually innocent. So the point is, not because a woman says a man did something to her, it doesn't mean that it is always true. Oftentimes, it is factual, but there are these few cases, even now more than ever, because everyone wants a quick payday. No one wants to work harder. People think that working smart is telling lies on someone's child and just ripping them off, get something out of their pockets that they didn't put there in the first place to begin with. And that is what VMA Bandit is doing. And she's a criminal, and I'm not going to stop calling her a criminal, because if you can muster up the strength, if you can move your lips, if you can use your brain, this is literally an extortion lawsuit. And I don't blame JayZ for suing Buzbee for extortion, because it's literally what it is, a extortion lawsuit. And I don't believe this woman had a complaint against JayZ. I believe this woman was orchestrated to lie on JayZ and Diddy, and they're fighting like hell to save their asses now. That's what I believe is going on, because this is literally being held at gunpoint, literally extortion. BS doesn't make sense, even though Buzbee cannot submit that. Buzbee, where's that polygraph? I'm going to have to join JayZ. JayZ saying, Buzbee, how you filing lawsuits and you don't know these people? Buzbee, where's the polygraph? The internet is asking for it. Like, where is it? You still can't provide it, right? But typical Buzbee. Buzbee is saying that JayZ's he's saying the lawsuit is weak and desperate, stating he did in fact personally interview the plaintiff. Like, Buzbee is so messy. He lies so much that he cannot even keep up with his own lies. Like, how do people, I'm wondering if people are paying attention to Buzbee's words, and I'm wondering if after a new report comes out, if people remembers what he said initially. Like, Buzbee cannot keep up with his own lies. It's overwhelming. I can't wait to see the results. Like, naturally, this case is going to be thrown out. Like, this is a circus. It's literally a circus. And I do hope JayZ get his ass in terms of that extortion lawsuit. I do hope they let him off on a warning when it comes to his license, because he has worked hard for that. But maybe this is his karma, to teach him a lesson that you have to do better. So I do hope that he learns from this. I hope that he's not sanctioned, but I do hope that JayZ gets his ass for that extortion lawsuit, because that's literally what this case is, an extortion to the highest, it's so exhausting. Tony Buzbee cannot keep up with his lies. It's kind of funny too. I find it to be very hilarious, very entertaining. But that's all I have to share in this video with you guys for now. Let me know your thoughts. Do everything you need to do on this video to support your girl. Stay safe, and see you guys in the comment section. Peace.